Hey, welcome to Riding Shotgun. It is Tuesday, March, what is this, 20th? First day of spring? Doesn't feel like it, man. It's cold. What's the temperature? 34 degrees, windy. Alfie's along for the ride today, running along. Thankfully, it's still pretty dry. So, don't have to worry about her getting neck deep in mud. Man, the NCAA Tournament, wasn't that a great first weekend? Oh my goodness. that was cool. That was so cool. So many upsets that anymore I don't even know if there is such a thing as an upset. It's just scary, man, when you watch the teams, and I'm not talking about the number ones and number twos. I'm talking about the 12s, the 13s, the 14s, the 15s, and in one case the 16, the athletes, the size, the skill, just remarkable. And you can certainly see where Illinois has work to do in that regard too. They got to get better at shooting the ball. They got to get more athletic. They got to have more options, and everybody knows all that stuff. And it was just fun, man. It was just so much fun. The Maryland-Baltimore County game upset of Virginia was remarkable. That was a fun time to be on Twitter for a little bit, and it isn't always that way. What are you seeing? Oh, she's got something over in the woods. Sorry about the distraction. Anyhow, that was a lot of fun. It was remarkable. It's one of those games where I think 30 years from now we'll all say, yeah, I remember I was in my living room, or I was over at my buddy's house, or I was at the bar, or I was, and if you were one of the few lucky ones, I was at the game. I was at a game, NCAA Tournament game years ago when a 15 beat a 2. I think it was Arizona maybe went down as the 2. And it was pretty remarkable. And while you're sitting there, and people always ask me, and I'm sure they've asked you, is a 16 ever going to beat a 1? My answer was always, yeah, it'll happen sometime. But I don't know if I really believed that. And I guess I assumed that when it happened, it would be some miracle half-court toss at the buzzer. This was 20 points. I mean, it was unbelievable. And I hope every coach in America was watching after the game, when Tony Bennett... it's hard after a loss to be asked for your comments by the networks, and because it happens usually very quickly, and the disappointment is enormous. I can't imagine what it would be like in their case at that time. But he was so gracious, and I just thought, man, that's the way to do it. Make your people feel proud. And he did a great job with that. And we've had the comebacks have been unbelievable. Nevada the other night down 22 with 11 minutes to go against Cincinnati and come all the way back. I thought and still think Cincinnati's a really good basketball team. But they just, we've seen teams that just hit the wall offensively. We saw it with Michigan State. Just couldn't make a shot. That was unbelievable. Last second shots. How about Michigan over Houston? Boy, oh boy, and I shouldn't be vindictive. It's not a very good trait, but in each case, I was just fine seeing Bruce Pearl and Auburn bow out and seeing Kelvin Sampson in Houston out of there. I got no problem with that whatsoever. Now, who's the favorite now? I don't know. Villanova, maybe, yeah, but they could not win another game. They could lose to West Virginia. Duke, the thing that scares me about Duke is nobody's talking about Duke. They weren't the number 1, and they weren't Maryland-Baltimore County, and they weren't Nevada, and they weren't Loyola Chicago. And those are the teams everybody's talking about. Duke is flying so far under the radar right now, that will probably change, and maybe they don't win another game. I don't know who favorites are right now. I don't see any game. And I made all my picks. I don't see any game that I say, well, that's a lock. No, I don't. There's none of those anymore. I'd like to see Michigan go a little bit. I like John Beilein. I like that team. They haven't played as well as they can play. Maybe they're due, you know, for that. Maybe the long layoff after the Big Ten tournament was more rust than rest, and now they're just rested and not so rusty, maybe. And go Loyola, you know. I mean, I'm good with Loyola. I don't have any in-state jealousy. Good for them. They made it. They played well. They've been exciting. That's a good story, a fun story. And good luck to Bruce Weber, man. I tell you what, I'm so glad to see Bruce have that success with K-State. That game the other night wasn't very pretty. I get it. But they're without their best player, and they have been for the 2 games, and he should return against Kentucky. It may not be enough, but I know one thing, Bruce will figure out a way to defend the hell out of Kentucky and try to gum it up a little bit and see what can happen. You know, I was seeing where 10 different coaches now have taken 3 separate schools to the Sweet 16, and 3 of them are former Illini coaches. Bruce has done it, did it with SIU, did it with Illinois, has done it with K-State. Bill Self did it with Tulsa, did it with Illinois, and has obviously done it with Kansas. And then Lon, I think Lon's done it with 4 schools, because he was at K-State and got them to the Sweet 16. He got Florida to the Final Four. He got UNLV to the Sweet 16 and Oklahoma, and didn't get Illinois there. You know, his team's lost a game short of the Sweet 16. I remember that game when Lon got clobbered by his old school, Florida, when Brian Cook was a sophomore. I remember talking to Brian in the locker room after the game. He was in tears. He just was not ready for that. And but he was very determined to make himself ready for the next time, and that's what he did, and made a lot of improvements. Anyhow, fun to see Bruce having that success, and you know, that was very cool. I find it very easy to root in that direction. Illinois football, it's spring break. Classes are out. No practice this week. Practice will resume next week. But, you know, the buzz we're hearing on Twitter is that Friday could be another big day in Illinois football recruiting. Isaiah Williams, the quarterback from Trinity Catholic in St. Louis, who's a 5-star athlete, 60 Division I offers, Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State, Oklahoma. I mean, just go right through the list. Everybody's offered him. Tremendous athlete, small, not a big kid, and some schools I think would use him at a position other than quarterback. Illinois has told him, "You're a quarterback." He, of course, was coached in high school by Corey Patterson, who's now on Lovey's staff. He's friends with Marquez Beeson, the Dallas wide receiver who committed. Wow, this would be an enormous get if on Friday he popped for Illinois, because then, you know, good players want to play with these kind of guys. Now a lot of good players, including his teammate at the linebacker position, which is a definite Illinois need, they want to play with guys like this. And, you know, that can be a program changer when a kid like that commits. Not only what he can do personally on the field, but what he can do influence-wise with other, you know, 4-star and up and good 3-star recruits who are thinking about Illinois, and Illinois is thinking about them. The remake of the coaching staff has definitely been a positive, with a new offensive coordinator, a new defensive line coach, a new safeties coach, a new tight ends coach. You're seeing Thad Ward, the running backs coach, finally get the recognition he deserves as one of the better recruiters in the country. They've marketed the term Liddyville. You know, Liddyville was something that kind of Thad came up with. You know, the expression that kids use when something's hot, they say, "Man, that's lit." And he turned that into Liddyville, which is to describe the Champaign experience. And the kids like it. Doesn't matter whether you understand it or I understand it or either of us think it's any big deal. The kids get it. They're hashtagging it on their posts. And it's been a successful branding thing for Illinois football recruiting. And why not? So anyhow, we'll see Friday if we have any news on the Illinois football recruiting front. If that happens, you know, I think if you're around the staff right now, and I've been around them at practices, there's a different aura about them. There's a different, it's not cockiness, but there's a different confidence that this thing is moving in the right direction. And I know for fans, hey, show me on the field. That's fair, and I get it. And show me on the field too. That's right. But I know that programs get turned with good players, and I know it can happen at Illinois because I've seen it a number of times. And Ron Turner got it going when he got Kurt Kittner and Brandon Lloyd and people like that more. And Ron Zook got it going when he got the recruits he got, Aurelius Ben and Juice Williams and Martez Wilson and Jay Lehman and Britt Miller and running backs and that's the name of the game is players. I don't care how good of a coach you are. If you have a bunch of mediocre players, you're going to probably have a mediocre result. And so get these guys on board. Get more of these guys on board. Lovey is using the fact that he was a Super Bowl coach in the NFL and that his staff has, I don't even know what it is now with Gilbert. I haven't seen the calculation, but it must be with over 60 years of NFL experience between this staff. And I heard Marquez Beeson, I talked to him, and he said, yeah, I want to play for a staff that's got all that NFL experience because that's what I want to do, and they know how to get me there. Okay, that's their marketing pitch. And then throw Liddyville on top of that for good measure. And if you can throw Isaiah Williams on top of that as a guy who's signed up, and then we're going to see some fun stuff. Now, Isaiah Williams won't be here till 19. I get that, but he'll be that first class that gets to use the new Football Performance Center that's so cool and is going to be so cool. It's kind of a hole in the ground right now watching him work over there the other day. But anyhow, kind of exciting stuff. Most excited I've been about Illinois football in a long time. And if we see Isaiah Williams, that is an enormous recruiting coup. And hey, credit Lovey for hiring his high school coach, Corey Patterson, who seems like a good dude and a guy that the young players in the St. Louis area definitely identify with. I think you'll see him go out and probably recruit some other areas as well. But anyhow, that's exciting stuff. So, okay, that's all for now. Nothing else to report here. Have a great time watching the tournament Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then we get to the Final Four and all good stuff. Don't forget that football practice ends on Saturday, April 7th with an open practice that the public can come out to and watch if you're so inclined. If it's a nice day, they'll probably get some people out there. If it's cold and crappy, probably not. But anyhow, thanks for riding along today, and we'll talk to you next Tuesday. Bye.